because I like I said, it's for children, kind of. So I'm able to like follow what's happening, but reading the words, I'm like, right.
Yeah.
They did say separatist.
Uh-huh.
Hello, everybody. I am Will.
And I'm Kristin.
And this is So I'm Watching This Show, your new favorite pop culture podcast where we talk about movies, it's a YouTube channel, TV, and more. As always, this is a spoiler show, so you have been warned. On today's episode, we're going to talk about Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. None of these titles make any sense.
They don't pay off.
Didn't somebody shake them all around? It's like within the 9 titles, if you shift them, they all make more sense.
Interesting.
I think someone did that.
Maybe.
Because the clones don't attack in this one.
Nor do the Muppets take Manhattan.
You have got to let that go.
No. It's the only thing that made me mad about that movie.
It was brought up last night.
It was.
We watched this movie last night. We started at, I think, 6 and finished around 10:45. We were hammered. Yeah. Also, there is a breathtaking documentary for episode 1.
Seemingly a series of breathtaking documentaries.
This one wasn't...
Not as bad?
No,
okay.
No. That first one...
I watched like half of it.
It's like watching a horror film.
Yeah.
Like a
We talked about it a little bit in our episode 1
We did,
episode.
but I had only I was recalling watching it like 5 years prior.
Oh, okay.
The 3 of us sat down and watched it.
Gotcha.
And it took years off of Rachel's life.
Yeah, it was...
Like, it's just... I'm a little bit surprised it's not more of a thing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a little bit surprised it doesn't have midnight screenings and stuff. Because there's, like, catchphrases. There's, like... I'm not even afraid I'm overselling it. It is...
You mean you think the documentary should have midnight screenings? Okay.
It is... I guess it's like that cast recording of Company... That documentary about the cast recording of Company that's so famous.
Sure.
Because Sondheim is a madman. He's a madman that knows what he's doing.
Okay, that's the main difference. Is that George Lucas doesn't know what he's doing. Like, I would rather intern for Stephen Sondheim than George Lucas. Like, I can't imagine being on this set and just like... insert the Dennis Hopper from Speed. The whim of a madman.
Now, if you've been with us, you've seen the bus.
The whim of a madman. I like that.
And it's just like, what are on any given day? No one knows what they're doing.
And again, this is we're going to move into episode 2, but he was
still in episode 2. I'm talking about.
He was making it up as he was going, and like because there was a moment in the episode 2 documentary, which again, not as good as the episode 1, but. He says like no fewer than 3 of his own words wrong.
Yeah.
He calls it the ice planet Hoth. Didn't he say Han Solo?
Han Solo, the ice planet Hoth. And I do feel like he said one other thing, but I can't remember what it was now. But I'm just like, we hear them call it Hoth. And everyone calls him Han Solo. I literally don't understand.
So, when this movie came out, so I was 16 or 7, possibly
2002?
17.
You were probably 17.
If it was May, I was 16. I wasn't 17 yet.
Okay.
I remember telling people for a couple of years that this was my favorite one. Okay. I have no idea. What?
It is better than the first one.
You think so?
A little.
Okay. It's boringer. The first one, the childish element, at least it's like, I mean,
Something.
it's in bad taste, but it's like the
Sure.
antics are at least something.
I don't know. I guess it is more boring. Maybe I'm wrong.
It's 2.5 hours long.
Way too long.
Way for thin. This plot
Yeah.
is way for thin.
There is a threat on Padme's life, and then they find out that the clones are being made on the like direction of Count Dooku, and that is basically all of the plot that we get.
And Palpatine successfully infiltrates the Senate.
Yeah.
I know why I liked this one. It was because at the moment it was the most state of the art. Like it
Sure.
was the most pretty, glossy. There were colors. I liked all of her costumes. This was my favorite of her like wardrobe and all of that.
All the Naboo stuff is great.
Hayden was cute.
Yeah.
End, finish. You know, it just like, so I remember it because it was a point of time where I don't know if this was for everyone, but I would just sort of decide. Like the Vanity Fair art cover came out of them laying in the field, and it was actually gorgeous. I think it was Annie Leibovitz. It was gorgeous. And I was just like, oh, I love this movie months before I'd even seen it.
Yeah.
Like I had already ordered posters. And so it was like, and also the time, like my age, but also at that point in time, people got hype for movies.
Yeah.
I mean, people get hyped for movies now, but
Yeah, but it was also back in the Wild West where you didn't have assigned seats, and it was just like a shit show. You arrived 3 hours early, or
So-
you didn't get a seat with your friends.
So a movie had to be abysmal, or it took me a good couple years to be like, I didn't even like any of that. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like it because I was just so committed to it.
Sure.
And this movie is speaking the language of, like, it thinks it's fable, like it thinks it's epic poetry, but it is so dunderheaded. It is so,
Go ahead, finish your thought.
it is so flat.
Yeah.
It is so, like, there is no subtext. And there's so many, because of that, there's so many scenes where you're like, well, what did that mean? Like,
It meant the words they said with their
there's
mouths.
so many, like, weirdly homoerotic moments. And,
You mean
like,
the one where Obi-Wan and Jango
Jango
Fett
Fett.
have full sex?
Do you like your army?
I look forward to seeing them in action.
They'll do their job well. I'll guarantee that.
Thank you for your time, Django.
we literally were like, the camera pans down, and you were like, both their dicks are out and they're stroking. I'm like, no, they're not even stroking.
They're just out.
They're just out, playing chicken, waiting to see who's gonna
Look
like,
first. Okay, because that's the other thing is evidently George Lucas has compared the love story in this to that of Guinevere and Lancelot. First of all, that's also like a fable, like a mythic fable. So there's also not a lot going on there either. Second of all, no. Just simply no. It's also like I know that it's not Hayden Christensen's fault because I know him to be pretty good in other things. He comes off as like a petulant incel, just dirtbag in this.
So, okay, I wanted to get to that next. I
Okay.
want to say this point first, though. You could tell me that a 12-year-old boy wrote this.
Oh, 100%.
And because, like I said, it's uncanny. It has so many things that you've heard in other movies and that feel, it's like if a robot wrote a movie.
Yeah.
Because so they spent this time together, this very pivotal time in both of their lives, even though it was only about 4 days together when they were younger, when they were 10
He was
and 14
10 and she was
respectively.
14, yeah.
We fast forward 10 years later, they remember each other. There is
She recognizes him.
there is a chemistry, but the dialogue, the language that they're using doesn't even make sense in time.
Yeah.
Because it's like they are literally, it is the moment of reintroduction. And she's like, you'll always be that little boy to me. And it's like, in order for that observation to hold
Yeah.
any weight, they needed to have spent a minimum of the afternoon together.
Yeah.
You don't say that upon re-meeting
Yeah.
someone.
I agree.
But it's so many moments like that
Yeah.
where it's like, yes, that works for this story, this relationship, possibly even the scene, but it's not the introduction of the scene.
Right.
Every scene should have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And those parts are jumbled.
In that sense, this almost works as like an avant-garde French New Wave film kind of thing. It's
Because
like so weird.
Their relationship
Yeah.
is shocking. Watching him gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss her, like watching because there's this. Sorry, I'll let you go in a second.
No.
But there's the scene where they're back in Naboo,
Yeah.
and Senator Amidala is talking to Queen Jamila, and she says something about here, and he goes, "Hang on a minute,
I'm in charge of your security."
the Queen is right next to him."
Yeah.
Could you imagine?
A queen and a senator and some fuckboy who's
And a
not even a
security
full
guard
Jedi
shoves
yet.
the Queen out of the way to mansplain to the. It shocked me.
Yeah.
And so watching it this time, there were so many moments that sent like a jolt through me.
Yeah.
Where I was like, oh my God.
Well,
like,
also, she is the one who, throughout the movie, keeps shutting this relationship down. Multiple times, she's like, no, we can't do it. And he sort of is like, let's just keep it a secret. And she's like, I can't live a lie. Is that how you want to live? She's shutting it down at every turn. And he just continually gets her back in his clutches. And he's 18. And she's a senator who used to be queen.
it is such an abusive relationship.
It's horrible.
In a way that, and I understand that it is meant to be toxic.
Yeah.
But it's so one-dimensionally.
Well, that's the thing, though, is I don't think it is supposed to be toxic. I believe George Lucas believes that this is a love for the ages. I believe that he thinks it's real.
Yeah, I understand that element of it. Yes. But it's about the character of Anakin falling. He quite literally has anger management issues.
Yeah.
And it's about him being not even seduced, but like falling
into the dark
side. Because he's not seduced.
No, he's not seduced. He like already kind of has it in him and he's angry and he's had a lot of things in his life, but it's also like he's rejecting all of these like tent poles of being a Jedi where they're not supposed to fall in love, and he is somehow has been thinking about her every day for the last 10 years.
And he is a red flag factor.
Oh yeah.
Ladies, if any young woman or man, if any young person is watching this and someone behaves
like this
to you, you need to run. Never speak to that person again.
No.
If you take it at face value, because I think this is another thing that makes these movies so baffling, is that we obviously know Obi-Wan Kenobi is the hero. It is who he is in Star Wars canon. So when you watch this, the audience, there's a disconnect because the audience is like, oh man, Anakin must really be a loose cannon if he can't, if this is where we're at after 10 years of apprenticeship.
Yeah.
But that's all work that the audience is filling in.
So
if you take this movie at face value, Obi-Wan Kenobi is a terrible teacher.
A terrible Jedi, but I mean, he's not great.
Do you know what I mean? And so I'm like,
because he's not a great teacher to Luke either.
No, so it's like we're filling in, like we're bending the movie to our will, and it's just like.
Also, I do kind of love these Jedi Masters who, like, at the slightest inconvenience, they're just like, time to die. They're like, I've had one battle.
Shuffle off this mortal coil.
I can't wait to rid myself of this humanity.
Relatable.
Because Qui-Gon Jinn does it in the first one. And then Obi-Wan does it in episode 4.
And then Luke does it.
And then Luke does it in episode 7, 8.
It's just mind-boggling the amount of time they take to tell this story.
Yeah. 2.5 hours is way too... This could... I mean, obviously it's a Star Wars movie. You can make it 2 hours, do whatever. But, like, this could have come in at a tight 90 minutes. And if only there were, like... Because there also, again, just like the first one, are huge swaths of time where nobody is speaking, but they're looking at each other as if they're having a scene and nothing is being accomplished. And so you're just wasting time and, like, sweeping vista shots of Lake Como, seemingly the only place that existed in reality on this movie. And I don't know, it's just like so much stuff like that. And then if someone else had come at, although I guess there was, he's got co-writers on these. So
Mhm.
someone else looked at the screenplay, Jonathan Hales and John Ostrander. But I guess John Ostrander just created a character. So George Lucas and Jonathan Hales worked on the screenplay. Regardless, this needed, like, at a minimum 2 more passes by a better writer, someone to punch. Like, where was Carrie Fisher? Did she not want to punch this up and, like, be like, you're doing my mom dirty? Like, what the hell? And so
wasn't she, like, not in a great place at this point?
maybe not. I'm not sure. But regardless, I'm just sort of like, you could have easily told this story in 90 minutes and made the love story more believable. But it's like, in addition to the actual dialogue and story being total garbage, they're again choosing every single time. I don't believe they chose the best take of anybody in any shot in this movie. These are all, like, either they were exhausted or it was first takes before they had any direction. There's no way, again, that this many talented people are that bad. The only one, again, or 2 who come out of this movie smelling like a rose are Sam Jackson and Christopher Lee.
Christopher Lee is one of the few, well, one of 2 people,
Yeah.
Who the movie isn't wearing.
Yeah.
Then.
Because
Like, he bends those, like, 3 scenes to his will.
Even Ewan McGregor, again, it's like he is literally doing everything he can, and I believe that he
exists in a weird in-between in all 3 of these movies where
He
he's
really
neither
does.
good nor bad.
He's also not involved in anything. It's like, it's so bizarre how his character
Side
is.
quests.
It's so weird.
Okay, so
Sorry.
one of the things that was so fascinating about watching the 2 documentaries, one of the myriad things that was fascinating about it, is we see auditions, we see first takes, we see rehearsals, and all of them.
Also chemistry tests. Like, we watch Hayden Christensen's chemistry test with Natalie Portman.
And all of them have life in them. That one that we see of him, we see like 3, I don't know if it's all from the same audition, but we come back to this tape of him 3 separate times. And in one of them, his voice cracks and he makes a joke and everybody laughs. He's so charming. He is so cute. And and that's one thing, the single thing that the documentaries don't illuminate is how the life was stripped out of every one of these performances.
So
we never see George actually directing.
I'm sure that's by design, because you said the first one was on the DVD.
The first documentary, and it's whoever let that. There's so many. I can't stop this video and go watch it. It's on YouTube.
It's amazing.
Because there's another thing. We got to talk about this. The way they treat Natalie, by no means, I genuinely do not get pervert vibes from George Lucas whatsoever at all. I'm not accusing him.
But there are like 4 instances on this documentary where he hugging her.
Like, there's a scene where they're auditioning Jake Lloyd in episode 1.
Yeah.
And a 14-year-old Natalie Portman comes in and he stands up and hugs her. Again, it's not creepy. Like, he doesn't.
But it's worth noting.
And it doesn't happen with anybody else.
No, and it was that table read scene, too, that really struck me, because
she's, like, at his right hand.
George Lucas is not sitting at the head of the table, which is where he should be, leading a table read. Like, he is the god of this universe.
Does that make me a god?
No. He should be at the head of the table. He is in the middle of the side of the table and has placed Natalie Portman right next to him. It's fucking weird.
And again, like I said, I don't think that he had ulterior motives, because it doesn't come. He registers like a 12-year-old with too much power.
Yes.
But it's noteworthy, I think, because of the culture. Like, I almost think that it's like these people, Natalie included, are going through these motions because it's just expected.
Sure.
And it's very strange. And she carries herself in that patented Natalie Portman way.
Yeah.
And there's so many moments in these interviews, documentary stuff, where they'll say something and it's not even explicitly backhanded. Like, she makes the comment about like how she's meant to be sexier in this one, which they don't pull off. She looks beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah.
But at no point, maybe the one
The dress that George Lucas designed, you mean?
And she says it with like a glimmer, like a mischievous, where she's like, well, there is the one dress that George designed for me.
Yeah.
And it is so fetishy. And
it's the one where it's like straight across, but then there's like
leather.
a thing here and it's a collar and
which again, if they leaned into it, like there's a part of me where I'm like, so then go ahead and make him comically like an incel.
Sure.
But you can just tell they don't think that's what they're doing. It's the inadvertent quality of it that makes it so horrific, because you're like, somebody thinks this is real. Yeah. Somebody thinks this is
that it's working.
And there's 2 or 3 scenes, because they famously and people criticize them for not having chemistry in this movie, and rightfully so.
I don't think it's their fault.
Well, there's 1 or 2 scenes, in particular, the one that's currently the meme.
Yeah.
I think there's a reason why it's resonated, because they actually, it's like the one moment that they actually have a spark.
They feel like they're having fun.
And I'm just so curious. Like, I gotta know, did they go off script? Or like, there's something in that moment. And it's because he's basically like, he's just straightforwardly explaining what a dictatorship is to her.
Yeah, but in a way that he's like, sounds cool to me. Like that sounds like something I dig a lot.
She has this moment where she's like, surely you're kidding.
Yeah.
Again, the meme. There's a reason why the meme. I don't know.
Sounds an awful lot like a dictatorship to me.
Well, if it works.
That scene. And there's also another scene that is deleted where she brings him home and we meet her mother, father, and much older sister. Are you okay?
I'm so angry.
What?
That scene...
It was good.
Is necessary. Because
it informs her character.
Because that's the thing that actually bums me out the most about every single Star Wars movie is every character exists in a vacuum. No character has a family. No character has friends. They are all just orbiting around a like loose connection of work acquaintances.
Well, it's like they exist only for the story. Like they make friends with each other because the journey is happening.
It's baffling.
First of all, it informs her.
Yeah.
Her character. The acting was
better.
Good, we'll say.
Which you have to imagine is why George Lucas cut it out. I like don't understand.
And again, they have another just gleam of chemistry in that scene.
Yeah.
That it's almost like he's like gotta go because I don't know. I can't tell if it would have helped or hurt the movie.
So, okay, you asked me something earlier when we were sitting out there. You were like, imagine that you get to be good enough friends with Natalie Portman that you can finally ask her about Star Wars.
I said, imagine a scenario where we are actual, like you become friends with Natalie Portman and you are close enough or intimate enough friends with her that a time comes where you're like, okay.
We have to have a conversation.
Star Wars.
So
you gotta tell me what the deal is.
Honest to God, I think my question would be, there were takes that were better, right? Like she would know if she had takes where she and Hayden Christensen had Kevin. In the documentary, all she's talking about is how good an actor he is and how she's like loves filming these scenes. And I'm like,
and she toes the company line though.
Yeah.
She doesn't, other than a wink, a sparkle in her eye, you get no sense that she's defecting from the story.
She is really good at that part of her job too, so I don't know, but I need
because I almost imagine this scenario where we're like Star Wars, and I almost imagine her being like, well, what do you mean?
She'd be like, yeah.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
So we all strip down and say, I'm not wearing a wire, Natalie. I'm sincerely curious.
Blink twice.
Yeah, right? I just like,
is he here now? No.
There just has to be.
There's just so, sorry, I'm like remembering.
Takes that are good.
They're like weird date. Beautiful. The scene is so beautiful. But she's eating, for some reason, a pear. All of the garbage that they throw at the screen in this movie, and then they put a whole
Just a
pear,
run-of-the-mill pear.
on green pear. It's not even like...
That they are then... She's going to eat it with a fork and knife.
But I'm like, they couldn't have created some, like...
A weird fruit.
And
even just go get a dragon fruit from the grocery store.
she goes to cut into it. He takes it off of her plate, levitates it to his plate.
Which is also against the rules. Showing off with Jedi tricks is apparently against the rules.
Cuts a small piece of it off.
The butt end also.
Floats it back to her.
And keeps the bigger half for himself. What are we doing?
And again, if that was
the
intent of the scene.
Well, also, if that was the only thing he did that was like that, then you could write it off. But that's like the 15th gross, controlling, weird thing he does to her. It's out of control.
It's so strange. And there's also there's a baffling Rose Byrne in this movie.
For like
First of
2
all,
scenes only.
Beautiful.
She's stunning.
Breathtaking.
Yeah.
And because I said this even about Natalie, and I was like, I don't mean this in a gross way at all, but I was like, there is something about certain people when they were like 17 years old, or like where it's just like, I said it's like a dancing queen, like, and she's in these couple of scenes, and she's good in them. Like she actually manages to fill the room with a little bit of life, because there are, in the first third of this movie, there are so many scenes where you're in a large space with like 13 people in the room, and it's an echo chamber. Like it is.
All of the scenes with the Jedi Council are like dead, aside from Sam Jackson.
And so again, you have a Rose Byrne actually filling the room with something, and gotta get her out of there. Gotta get her out of there.
Seriously, 2 scenes and then she's basically gone.
They show, and it's not even like she disappears. They make a point to say goodbye to her for whatever reason. Again, it adds an air, because again, also the dialogue is so stupid, because it opens with the assassination attempt. And it's Corday, her handmaiden, her decoy, is killed by an explosion, and Padme runs straight into the explosion. No.
Straight at her fallen handmaiden, who then says, I failed you.
Takes off her helmet. So we can clearly see she is who she is. And the handmaiden's dying words are, I failed you. And I was like,
the entire point of you
quite literally did her job. and is a hero. Like,
because the only, like, Padme is only coming there because she needs to vote in the Senate. And they want to kill her because they know that she's going to vote the opposite way. But the movie doesn't even
understand its own plot. Like, it doesn't even understand, like, what? I just, like...
Can't. Do you want to talk for a minute about who else was in the running for Anakin? The list is a who's who of
Leonardo?
The year 2000. Yes? Uh-huh. You want to keep going? Keep going.
How old was Jude Law?
Too old.
Okay. Devin Sawa.
No, I think he might have actually been a smidge too old, although Christian Bale is on here.
Okay, who?
Ryan Phillippe, Paul Walker, Colin Hanks, Christian Bale, Heath Ledger, James Vanderbeek, and Joshua Jackson. Eric Christian Olsen and Eric Von Detten. Chris Klein, Chris Klein, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Jonathan Brandis. In the end, Hayden Christensen got the part primarily because he and Natalie Portman looked good together. Which they do.
Jonathan Brandis died, didn't he?
I think he did, yes.
That was sad. Yeah, I mean, I guess they do look good together, although he has so much bronzer on.
Him and Ewan McGregor both look kind of busted in this movie, if I'm being honest.
He has that showgirls thing where his like hair, skin, and makeup and clothes are all the same color.
Yeah.
He's just like this beige monster.
It's ridiculous.
With ever-changing hair.
Because he was what did I say he was filming? He was filming Black Hawk Down, where he has a buzz cut because he's like a Marine or whatever. And so he basically is wearing a wig sometimes in this movie. It's bizarre.
But like, I don't understand why he wouldn't just be wearing a wig, period. Because Qui-Gon Jinn's hair was long, and he has been out of this apprenticeship for 10 years. You can't tell me that that's as long, that this awkward in-between hairstyle.
Yeah. It is real mullety.
There's also, in the episode 1 documentary, there's a scene where he comes in with this beautiful, long Scottish hair, and they just buzz it right off.
Ewan.
Ewan, nice to meet you. Who are you going to be in the movie?
The young Obi-Wan, I think.
Yeah.
I hope.
Okay, here's the thing. If you've seen a movie called The Pillow Book or The Velvet Goldmine or A Life Less Ordinary, which his hair is like a weird kind of David Bowie 70s haircut in that, but like Ewan McGregor can grow a head of hair and it's incredible. And especially in like the 90s and early 2000s, his hair was great. It hurts my feelings watching that scene because it's just, they go so short, and it does that thing that happens to dudes with like straight hair when they get, and it's like fuzzy. I hate it. It's
Well, and as they're doing it, he's like, "Are you sure?" He's like, "We might be making a huge mistake." Everyone has that energy.
Like, at least I guess they kept it consistent, because then obviously Hayden Christensen has the same haircut in this one. It's like a training thing, which I get it, whatever, but like, I don't know, it's so frustrating.
If you are fans of ours, you know that there's a very specific point of view perspective that we have. And so we hit on a lot of because it's like, I don't imagine many people review episode 2 and don't even mention Jango or Boba Fett.
We did. We talked about him and his dick out with Obi-Wan. We talked about Jango Fett for like 30 whole seconds.
Who is the actor?
Oh, well, it's Aquaman's dad, but I never remember his actual name. Timura Morrison.
He's so appealing.
He's even today, because he plays Boba Fett on the TV show. He is hot. He is a hot older man.
Well, because I only saw half of Boba Fett. I haven't finished it yet, but I remember being like, "Oh, he's very appealing," and his chemistry, and again, very specifically not sexual chemistry, but platonic chemistry with Ming-Na.
Yeah,
I would say the movie doesn't wear him either. He has a spark.
He's pretty good.
That manages to stay.
So, but he is a bounty hunter who has a 10-year-old son, and
clone.
It's Boba Fett. Yeah,
an exact clone. There's so many things that they say in this movie. My God, because they like.
Well, you said separatists when we first started.
Because word Confederate is in here at one point, and like, but the clone army. He like part of his condition was that he got one just for him.
Yeah.
To like be his son. That isn't genetically altered to be more docile, and like the way that they talk about it, I was like, it's eugenics, and it's just like, oh
yeah. Also, Jango Fett is the one that's like carrying out the bounty on Padme. He's like involved in that.
Yeah. It's actually a very dumb plot, like point A to point B.
Well, it also is like these assassination attempts are also like really stupid, because you have to. She's always had a like double, you know.
I don't think that that's meant to be public knowledge.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. Regardless, it's a lot of like, I'm gonna leave this bomb in this spot, and then like, but also crossed, she gets there.
But also, they go through Queens like every 2 years.
Yeah.
So when you consider the amount of people involved in this conspiracy, it's not a conspiracy, but you know what I mean. Like, I don't really remember or know what the whole point of the Genosha stuff is. I mean, it's kind of cool in a John Carter of Mars sort of way.
Is that the watery planet with the tall?
No,
that's
I like that planet though. Again, like I imagined when we decided to do this, I imagined being more flattering. Like I've always been a little bit of a prequel apologist, but it is as simple as I think the mythos of the prequels is good.
Sure, and I'll agree with
good bones.
I'll agree with that with you about that all day. But like, I have been going into these with an open mind. I wanted to also be like see the bones and be like, yeah, it's great. But then also just like watching George Lucas behind the scenes, he in the episode 2 documentary, he says, well, you know, in the original trilogy, I had to be really reined in by like blah, 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 blah. And he's like, and I'm not reined in anymore. And there's like a manic glimmer in his eye. And you're just like, you need to be reined in. You shouldn't be solely in charge of this. It's bad for the movie. It's so bizarre.
Yoda is CG in this one.
Yeah.
I, like you, do prefer the puppet. However, the digital golem, as we say, does manage to give facial expressions.
It's not terrible, but I am very on Werner Herzog's team, where about the baby Grogu in The Mandalorian, where they were like, well, we're going to shoot it again. And he was like, why? Like, we're going to shoot the scene again. And he said, why? And they're like, well, because we're not sure what we're doing yet. And so we have to get coverage for the CG, Baby Yoda. And Werner Herzog was like, no. He just was like, I'm not doing it again.
So what you're saying is we need someone to put their foot down.
Yeah.
We needed Christopher Lee on set being like,
no. So yeah, he basically was
Natalie,
like,
take it again.
He was like, no, I'm not doing that. And if you don't use the puppet, I don't want to be in this show anymore. Essentially, he was like, I won't. I refuse.
Because the level of incompetence, because it's like, there's twice in this movie it took Rachel out both ways. Rachel ended the night on the floor. That's not a joke. That is not an exaggeration.
Like, fallen to her knees.
On two separate points in this movie, Yoda leans on his non-existent cane.
He's just here with his hands like this. But it looks like there's weight leaning on something.
And we cut to, because again, like I said, it was like we were watching the documentaries. We cut to episode 1 with Frank Oz on set with a goddamn puppet, and he's handling the cane. Like one man is able to do the entire performance, and then you have a team of people.
There's also
they can't even
a great deal made about how he was shooting this on digital, which fine, whatever. I think shooting movies on digital is fine. I think a lot of people do it really well. I don't think he shot on digital poorly, but there's this one line that they say where one of the PAs or like an editor or something, a cameraman, is like, yeah, well, we can get like the footage back in like 15 minutes, and where it would have taken like however long. But then it takes 3 to 4 months to get everything, all the digital stuff added to the like blue and green screens and stuff. And I'm like, they literally say it takes longer to add everything in post than it would have to build actual sets. And I'm like, they could have built some fucking sets.
They also make a point to be like, because we get the footage immediately, we can then do a do-over. We know we messed up. We need to do it again.
You can do a reshoot the next day.
And it's like the whole entire point of pre-production is planning what needs to be done so that you don't have to do
so
that.
You do it right the first time. Measure twice, cut once, y'all. Let's get there. And it's not.
There was something in this one that was very controversial amongst Star Wars fans. It was the nightclub. A lot of people did not like it.
Like the bar?
Yeah, when they go into the bar and there's like because we don't in the episode 4, 5, and 6 we don't get a sense of like televisions and movies and red carpets and stuff. And I loved it because it added color and it added life. And I was like, there's so many planets.
Well, it's sort of like
there's
the casino
so many
planet in the Force Awakens. Oh, were people pissed about that too?
Well, yeah. The casino planet or the...
It was like a casino city.
In Last Jedi.
Was it The Last Jedi? Mm-hmm. Okay, then yes.
Yeah, people don't like that either.
Oh, I think it's great. I don't mind stuff like that, but there's also something in that scene that I do mind. And it's similar to the 1950s diner that exists on Coruscant.
I knew. I was like, we hadn't talked about the diner and we didn't talk about the scene.
Okay. So the 1950s diner on Coruscant, I can't live with the implication that in a long time ago in a galaxy far away.
The backstory for this is we were watching this like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And I was still in my sort of like, but I mean, it's like great though. There's like stuff.
It's like fine.
And the scene comes up where Obi-Wan goes to this diner to find out information on the
talk to a short order line cook.
And you were like, halt the projector. And you were like, absolutely not.
No.
Absolutely not. And I had never thought about it before.
Because it's just a George Lucas 1950s nostalgia circle jerk.
Because you were like, it implies that in this world, a long time ago, far away, that there was a socioeconomic period of time
that the city
that resembled
planet,
the American 50s.
The city planet of Coruscant went through an American 1950s in order to be nostalgic for it, because it's not like it's happening now. It's like a nostalgic. It's like a Johnny Rockets almost. Like even the droid waitresses have like
the
little
accents,
flippy dudes. It just, because there were lots of things like that when we were writing Fairy Tale. And I was like, you can't have someone say, God damn it, because there is no implied God in your universe. It's not like a Jesus Christ or a God thing. Like, that person doesn't exist. That's not lore that exists in this universe. And it's the same thing where it's like, it's just so clearly put there by George Lucas to like call back to American Graffiti. And I'm like,
because you don't have it in episodes 4, 5, and 6, because they go to the cantina and it's kitschy.
It's very like, alien, and it's very 70s, but it's because it was happening in the 70s. I mean, it's so bizarre. And so in that sense, the only thing that bothers me about the nightclub scene is that the kid comes up to Obi-Wan and offers him death sticks. And I'm like, so like tobacco cigarettes exist? Like you couldn't do anything interesting with the drug, like the smoking drug that you're trying to pawn off on Obi-Wan? I don't. It's just very irritating, and I don't understand why some of these things are so, like the fact that Watto is full of helium, but you can't have like a weird hallucinogenic like flower that you're trying to sell Obi-Wan. I don't know. It takes me completely out of it because I can't take it at face value. You're telling me that you're trying to sell him a Marlboro, basically. It's a no for me.
So yeah, his mom dies,
which is like, I guess, one of the like big things that turns him like almost immediately, but I don't know. It's where do you want to talk about the scene on the balcony?
I feel like we're
Don't go.
We talked about it a little in episode 1. It just is totally mind-bending to me. And then in the documentary, there is footage of them filming that, and that is where her mark is.
She was told to do
that far into the balcony. I can't. It's so weird. So weird.
So anyways, they get married.
It's a cool dress. It's like original antique lace kind of. It's very cool, and it's got a neat headdress and everything, and I don't know.
That was our conversation about episode 2. We're gonna watch the third one.
We are, yeah.
I have seen it once. I saw it in theaters.
And I have never seen it still to this day. So.
And the rumor is that it's the most successful of these three. So we'll have to see. But yeah, let us know what you think, or don't. Like and subscribe. Patron, all that stuff.
And we will be covering Obi-Wan, and because George Lucas is not directly involved with it, I have a feeling it's going to be more successful. So, and I'm pumped to see both Ewan and Hayden back. So, we'll do that. All right.
Bye.
Bye.